Greetings, friends. This is a gardener's back care practice. It's spring in Vermont, and I have been a landscape gardener for many years, as well as a yoga teacher. And this is just a practice that I do pretty regularly to really keep myself working. And it has a lot to do with our pelvis, our lower back, and our legs, and how, the relationship between the femur, the thigh bone, and how it comes into the pelvis, and how that relates to the lower back. For this practice today, you're going to need a belt. You may need a couple of blocks, a block or two, and a chair. So we're going to start on our backs in what I call easy pose. So you're just going to bring your back to the floor with your knees bent. Separate your feet a little bit, knees bent, and feet on the floor. So just take a breath here. Maybe bring your hands out to the side. Take a moment and just kind of prepare yourself for your practice. Take a big breath in, and then a big breath out. Open your jaw, let out a sigh. Yeah, excellent. And then from here, bring your hands, sweep your arms overhead, and interlace your hands behind your head. Keep your elbows nice and wide here. So we're going to start with flexion and extension of the spine. It's just a really basic movement that we do a lot in yoga. So just start by lifting your tail towards the ceiling and flattening your lower back onto the floor. And then reverse that, lift your lower back, drop your tail, feel your spine arching away from the floor. And just go back and forth a couple of times here, just a nice smooth movement to your pelvis and your lower back and your spine. And just this can be really helpful. Just taking your spine through a range of motion can be really helpful. Yeah, and then from there, press your head, come back to neutral spine, right? So your lower back is arching a little bit away from the floor. Press your head back into your hands and scoot your shoulder blades down just a little bit. Bring your right knee into your chest, towards your belly. And then pull on your knee and feel your lower back flatten. Those two actions go together. Knee down, lower back flattens. And then press your knee into your hands away from your belly and feel your lower back arching away from the floor. So this is the more natural curve of your spine. Your lower back is supposed to arch away from the floor. So we're going to really pay attention to that as we go through this whole series of movements here. Okay, so really press your hands firmly, your knees firmly into your hands. Yeah. Now take your right thumb and place it on your thigh, on the right side of your thigh, way up high, not on your hip, but on your thigh. And press your thigh away, your outer right thigh, away from your right shoulder, keeping your lower back arched off the floor. And just really feel that, squaring that hip away from your right shoulder towards your left heel. And this is a critical action for seating the head of the femur into the pelvis. Yeah, so just really feel that length along your spine. And then you're just going to take your right hand to your knee again and open your leg out to the right. And it doesn't matter how far you go, as long as you keep that outer right hip dropping towards your left heel. Yeah, and then come up and cross your midline and just do a very gentle twist. Pull your belly back a little bit and go back and forth a few times, just opening and then twisting. Your hips, your whole pelvic region is moving from side to side, and you're keeping your lower back arching a little bit away from the floor. Beautiful. Excellent. And then from there, you're going to come back to neutral. Take your belt onto your right foot and onto the heel of your right foot. And you're going to take your right leg up and press into your belt. So you're straightening your right leg, okay? And so look at your knee.
You want to make sure your knee is straight, right? So for some of us, that means that we have to move our foot away from our torso in order to really straighten our right leg, okay? And then again, take your right thumb into that crease of your right hip and press it away from your right shoulder. Okay, beautiful. So take a few breaths. You're kind of pulling down strongly on your belt, feeding your femur down into your pelvis. Straightening that leg, pulling your belly back. So it takes a lot of, engagement here. Big breath. Yeah. And now straighten your other leg. So bring your other leg, look at your foot, make sure it stays in line with your frontal hip point. Your second toe stays in line with your frontal hip point. And you're working both legs separately from each other, using your thigh bones on both legs to really press your femur back. Take a big breath here and just work both legs really strongly. Your left toes are pulling towards your left shin. So that leg is nice and strong and anchored. Keep breathing and keep feeling your outer right hip going towards your left heel. That's the secret. Big breath here. Yeah, working your legs. And then as you're ready, you're going to come into half happy baby pose with that right leg. So bend your right knee in towards your armpit and have your shins straight up and down, right? So it's not like this or like this, but it's straight up and down. And again, you're really pressing into your heel with the belt. So you're really meeting here, pressing evenly as you pull. And you're pulling that knee towards your right armpit, keeping the other leg super strong and steady. You can bring your left hand, if you'd like, on your left thigh and press that thigh down. So really breathing. Big breath. So any one of these poses can be therapeutic for your low back as you're gardening or, if you're an athlete or, any physical work really. Okay, so then from there, straighten your leg up again and take it out to the side, taking your outer right hip towards your left heel. Super strong. Feel that femur bone, your right femur bone really fitting into that hip socket. Big breath. As you hold this pose, you may go a little bit deeper into it. And then take your leg up, switch the hand, bring your right arm out to the side. I'm going to switch myself around here. Yeah, keep taking your outer right hip forward. Now take your right foot over to the left, and you're not going all the way here. You're just going part way, keeping your right hip on the ground, and seeing if you can get some good work along the outside of your right leg. Up into your ITB area, you might feel that. Keep pressing your foot into the belt and pulling on the belt at the same time. Big breath. Steady, even. Just like the work you do outside, when you garden, when you work, you want to just establish a really nice steady pace so you can take care of your body and be productive at the same time. Now come back up, and then we're going to switch sides. So bring your right leg down. You might take a moment and kind of feel the two sides and see the effects. And then bring your feet back onto the floor. Knees up. Bring your left knee into your belly. Hands interlace. Turn around this way. And then press your knee into your hands really firmly. Take your left thumb now into the crease of your left hip. Actually, I'm going to come around again. So this is the action here. You're pressing this thigh away from your left shoulder. So really press into your hands. Feel your lower back arching a little bit. And then meet that arch with your abdomen. So pull your lower belly back. Yeah, excellent. Breathing, steady. And then start the twisting. You can go over to the right, keeping this hip dropping, outer hip dropping. Come open and then to the left. And just go back and forth a couple times. Feeling this whole unit of your pelvis and legs moving from side to side. It's a nice gentle twist for your spine. And then you're going to come back up, bring your belt to your left heel, and take your leg up. So you're going to start noticing, you may start noticing that your two sides feel different. It's very common for us to have asymmetries. If you have one side that feels substantially different and tighter, you want to do that side longer, or again, repeat it again on that side. So press up into your belt, into your heel, really strong, firm hands, firm pressing of the heel, and straighten your leg, right? It might mean that you need to bring your leg, you're straightening your knee, might mean that you bring your leg away from your torso some. Take your other leg to the floor, and then pull those toes towards your shin so that right heel is really anchoring down into the earth. Breathing, steady. Both legs are super charged here. Use your quadriceps to press your thighs back. Keep dropping your outer left hip. So you can hold this for a while. We're going to keep moving along here. Then half happy baby pose. So bend that left knee towards your left armpit. Keep your shin straight up and down, not folded here, not way over here, but just so you're trying to create like a right angle with your shin to the floor. And you can take your leg out to the side a little bit more, but just keep that angle of your shin. And notice my foot. It's like I'm standing on the ceiling, right? It's not pointing like this. It's not out to the side, but it's straight as though I'm standing on the ceiling. So pull firmly with the belt and push at the same time. Big breath. Soften your jaw, relax your face. And then as you're ready, straighten that leg again. Yeah, really use your quadriceps. Now, if you're a little bit more flexible, you might use your index finger and your middle finger and get hold of your large toe, pulling down with your arm, and then maybe opening up your leg towards your head a little bit more. But don't do that unless you're ready for that. Use the belt. Keep the other legs firmly anchored. Breathe. So we move methodically, really paying attention here. And as you're ready, come on up and take your belt or take your hand to your other hand to your large toe, and then take your leg over to the right, any amount, keeping this hip down. Don't let it lift up, right? Keep it anchored down. Keep your legs strong and true. Yeah, and breathe. Breathe into the sensations. Breathe into patience. Steady. Really nice. And then release. Bring that leg down, right? Feel both legs for a moment. Feel your pelvis. And if you have one side that felt, substantially tighter or more resistant, you would do that side again, okay? So from here, you're going to roll onto your sides and come on up onto your hands and knees. Keep your belt nearby. We're going to need it in a little bit. And actually, come into lizard pose. So you're going to come into lizard pose with your right leg forward. And in lizard pose, you take your foot out to the right quite a bit. So it's kind of a broad stance like this. And your back knee is on the floor as well. So your back knee presses down. You could use blocks here underneath your hands. Give yourself a little bit more lift through your shoulders, which is really good to keep your chest open. So your back knee presses down and drags forward. It doesn't move like that, but it's an isometric action of pressing your knee down and drawing it forward, and drawing your forward heel back. So you're squeezing, like scissoring your legs towards each other. And breathe here. This outer right hip is, right hip is still going back, okay? So then you could sway a little bit from side to side.
Steady breath here. Or you could also roll to the outside of that right little toe. So you're opening up your hip. Let me move back so you can really see my foot there. So yeah, rolling to the outside. So you might start to really feel that in your hip, and that's what we want. We want to target those hips. Pull your belly up, anchor your tail down, draw your shoulders back, and lift your heart. Big, steady breath. Now, if you want to go deeper into this pose, you could take your elbows down to the blocks or onto the floor, and that would deepen your stretch. Big breath here. Steady. Keep squeezing your legs towards each other. And then as you're ready, you're going to come up. You might hold this a little bit longer. I'm keeping moving to keep us moving a little bit here. And then from there, we're going to come up with your hands one on top of each other. So moving your right foot in a little bit so it's not so far out, but it's a little closer into your midline. Bring your hands onto your knee. Press down with your hands and lift your belly. And you're still squeezing your legs towards each other. Feel that back knee drawing forward. Roll your shoulders back. Use your shoulder blades, lift your heart, and press your head back a little bit. And then bend your forward knee a little bit more. So we're looking to stretch all the different sides of our hips. Our quadriceps, we just stretched our ITBs, and we're going to do our hamstrings in just a minute. Nice big breath here. Ooh, excellent. And then as you're ready, you're going to come up, right? Move your back foot forward, and now we're coming into pyramid pose. I'm going to switch myself around. So your feet are hip width apart still. Hands on blocks to each side of your forward foot. And really spin this hip back again, right? So now we're starting to get into our hamstrings a little bit more. Breathe. Draw your arms back. Steady your breath. Reach your heart forward. And to get a little bit more stretch, if you'd like, you're going to lift your forward toes off of the ground and dig your forward heel into the floor and draw it back. Now getting into your hamstrings a bit. Keep squaring your hips. You're taking this forward hip back. Other hip forward. Steady your breath. Excellent. And then you're going to come out. You can sweep your back leg forward. And then you're going to switch sides. So take your right leg back, left leg forward. And then you're going to come into lizard pose this way. So take this forward foot out to the side. There you go. Okay, and you can have your blocks if you'd like. Draw your back knee down and forward. Rock from side to side a little bit with your forward leg. And then roll to the outside of that foot. Lift the inner foot, roll to the outside, and now you start to get into your hips a little bit more. Keep your back knee active, pressing forward. Yeah, lift your belly. And if you'd like to go deeper, you could come down onto blocks on the other side or all the way onto the floor. Listen to your body here. Steady breath. Really let go of your head here. Relax your shoulders, your jaw. Really, we're focusing on the hips, the back, the legs. Then you'll come up. Take this forward foot a little bit more towards your midline. Press your back knee down, drive forward a little bit, and then bring your hands one on top of each other. Press down with your hands, roll your shoulders back, and use your shoulder blades to lift your heart. Steady, super strong core here. Long tail, bend your forward knee. Steady your gaze, steady your jaw. So this practice is also very grounding. So it's a really good practice to do if you're feeling, kind of
anxious or really busy in your head, or you've had a really busy day, or you just want to calm yourself down, this is a really good practice to really ground yourself. Okay, so then from here we're going to go up into pyramid pose. So lift your back knee off the ground, bring your back foot forward, your feet are hip width apart, so your back, you can look at your back foot, and your blocks are to each side of your forward foot. So really squaring your hips here. So your back thigh, outer thigh, is pressing back, and your forward thigh is pressing forward, your outer hip, sorry. So engage your feet, lift your toes, make your feet really active, and it's as though you're lifting your kneecaps with your quadricep muscles. And as you're ready, lift your forward foot. If you want more, press that heel down and draw it back a little bit, and really engaging your leg muscles. Take a deep breath in and out. Soften your jaw. Draw your arms up into your shoulder blades. Reach your heart forward. Excellent. Very, very good. Okay, so then from here, hop your back foot forward. So coming into forward fold. Stretch your toes a little bit. Hover your toes on the floor so there's engagement through the muscles of your legs. Lift your sits bones nice and long. Exhale and forward fold. Super strong legs lifting through your sits bones as you lengthen your spine forward. Turn your head from side to side. Free the back of your neck. Then take your hands wide off your mat and swan dive all the way up to standing. Bring your hands to your hearts. So now we're going to use our chairs. I want you to bring your chair to the front of your mat. I'm going to go this way. And you're going to take I'm going to be standing on my left leg. I'm going to bring my right ankle to my left knee. Okay? And have it be just above your ankle, so it's not down here, but it's more like this. Okay? So make sure your standing foot is facing straight ahead. There's a tendency to sort of be funky with that leg and kind of flip it in or out. So just have your second toe pointing straight ahead, and then bend your right ankle onto your left knee. And then, a little balancing act. Then you're going to bend your knee and bring your hands to the chair. And this is like chair pose. You're taking your sits bones way back as you bend your standing knee. So just really working. Both legs work pretty lot here. And your forward toes, pull your toes back. So this foot is really active here. And press your knee and your ankle together as you take your sits bones back. Breathe, steady, even breath. Engage your very lower belly just above your pubic bone. Pull back as your tail goes down. So your sits bones are lifting and pulling back, but your tail is going down. Excellent. And then you're going to come on up and you're going to switch sides. So just take your, look at your standing foot, your right foot pointing straight ahead. Take your left ankle to your right knee. And then bend your standing knee, take your sits bones back, really reach back. You've got the chair there for balance, right? So keep reaching back with your sits bones. Steady breath, draw your arms back. See if you can keep some length in the front of your torso. Try not to, roll your spine forward. Just make your arms long and feed them up into your shoulder blades. Keep these toes pointing back. Steady your breath, soften your jaw. You can shift your weight back into your standing heel a little bit. And then come on up. Stretch your toes, come all the way up to standing. And we're going to do that again, okay? We'll take it to one more variation. So come to your first leg, your left leg standing, right leg bent, toes pull back. And bring your pubic bone back and your sits bones back. You can use your chair again if you'd like. Or if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can Play with balancing. Bring your hands into prayer position. Press your hands into each other as you keep taking your sits bones down. Nice big breath. Your gaze is steady. You might take your arms up for even a little bit more engagement. Find the variation that's right for you. Steady breath. And come on up. Back into mountain pose and other side. Bend the right knee, left ankle, toes engaged. All 10 toes lift and pull back. Take your pubic bone back, reach back with your sits bones. Pull your belly back. You can stay right here with your hands on the chair. You can bring your hands into prayer position. Dropping your wrists so your elbows and your wrists are in line with each other. Pressing into the midline or taking your arms up. And come on up. Hands to your hearts. Big breath. Ooh, okay. Move your chair out of the way and take a wide stance. We're going to do a few standing poses. So I always line up. I have a line drawn on my sticky mat, in the middle of my sticky mat. I always use that for my alignment. And I set myself up so that the very middle of my arch is on that line. That's my starting point. And I use that line for all of my alignment. So I'm going to pivot my right foot 90 degrees, so my heel is on the line, and then the base of between my second and third toe is on the line. And then take your back heel and pivot it back a little bit, right? So your hips are kind of like on a diagonal here, okay? Lift all 10 toes and press down into the balls of your feet, super strong legs here, right? And then roll your shoulders back. Lift your heart. Excellent. Now you're going to bend. We're going into lateral angle pose. So bend your forward knee. Nice right angle. Keep taking your tail down and lifting your belly. And then bring your right elbow onto your right knee. Take this left shoulder and your whole lung back. Press your head back. Nice deep pose. Anchor into that back outer foot, the little toe side of your back foot, and keep your pelvis active, lifting your belly, anchoring your tail down. So you can stay here with your hand on your sacrum. I like that. You can press onto your sacrum. It's really nice for your lower back. Or you could sweep your arm forward and then create that nice long arch. But keep taking this upper lung back. Steady breath. Feel the whole length. That whole side of your body. Keep your toes engaged, reach. Yeah. Keep taking that outer hip back, right? Towards your back heel. Awesome. And then sweep all the way up. Keep your legs as they are. And you're going to do the same bend to your knee. We're doing wounded warrior pose. So, in this pose, there's a chance, oftentimes when you go into this pose, your knee starts doing something funky, like coming forward. Keep this knee lining up with your outer foot. Interlace your fingers behind you. Roll your shoulders back. Lift the heart. Bend your forward knee, just like you would in Warrior 2. And then on a diagonal, you're going to fold forward, not onto your thigh, but just to a diagonal in front of your thigh. So keep taking your outer hip back as you come forward. Steady your breath. Feel the depth of this hip here, right? This thigh bone feeding into your hip socket. Nice steady breath, building some strength here. Smile on your face. And as you're ready, come all the way up. And then we're going to pivot to the other side. If you want, you could repeat that little sequence again. So now pivot to the other side. Put your heel in line with the base of your second and third toe on the first front foot. And that line lines up with the middle of your back arch. Kick your back heel out a little bit so there's that little angle on your back foot. Lift all 10 toes. Feel the bottoms of your feet pressing down and feel the engagement of the muscles in your legs, lifting your legs up into your pelvis. And then bring your arms up, turn your whole torso this way as your legs keep going that way. Sweep your arms up, bend your forward knee, bring your elbow onto your knee, right? Backhand onto your sacrum or hip, and take this lung back, the whole lung, big, massive organ there. Press your head back. Keep your chin towards your throat, back of your neck super long, and stay super strong in that back leg. Roll to the little toe side of your foot. Sweep this arm up if you want more. Super long, beautiful diagonal from your heel to your fingertips. Big steady breath. Excellent. And then sweep all the way up. Roll your shoulders back, interlace your fingers behind you, coming into Yoga Mudra. And then bend your forward knee again. Stay strong in your core. Fold forward on a diagonal, not right over your knee, but a little bit in front. And keep rolling your shoulders back as you reach your heart forward. Steady your breath. Soften your eyes, even though this is a pose that's working your body. See if you can stay with just soft eyes and temples and cheeks and jaw. Very nice. Press down through your feet. Lift all the way up. Pivot both feet forward. And then heel and toe your feet together until you come into mountain pose. One last pose. We're going to do pigeon pose. So come, have a block nearby. Bring your left leg forward and your right leg back. You're coming, starting from this knee down lunge position. Scooch your left foot over towards your right hand and maybe down towards your knee as well, because you're going to roll to the outside of this shin. Okay, so play around with that placement. It can be pretty intense. There's no hard, fast rule about where that leg is. It just needs to be in a place that you feel like you can stay there for a while and you're on your forward shin. Now, I love to support. There's a tendency to kind of roll to this hip, right? So if you take a block or a blanket and you put it underneath the sits bone, it prevents you from doing that, right? Stretch your back toes strongly back. Press your back knee onto the ground. Now squeeze your legs towards each other like you did a moment ago. So we want engagement here. We're not just hanging out in our poses. We want to squeeze in, and that's what helps our hips really seat into our pelvis. Our thighs really seat into our pelvis. So keep squeezing your legs together. Lift your belly. You can stay a high pigeon if you'd like, or you can come down, bringing your elbows to the floor. You can stay high with your head, or you can stack your fist and rest your forehead on your fist. So this pose, you stay very engaged with your legs, drawing your legs towards each other. Stay engaged with your lower belly and anchoring your tail down. Yet there's also this way that you can really let go with your brain, feeling the weight of your brain, resting your brain down. So your thinking takes a back seat. And we go into just really sensing and feeling and experiencing the depth of this pose, the depth of your hips. Really letting go in the face, in the neck, in the shoulders. Maybe you come into Ujjayi breath here. As you're ready, press down with your arms, come up onto your hands.
And then you're going to switch sides. So you could do that by coming into downward dog if you want to, or you could just bring your back knee forward and come into on your knees. So we're just switching sides. Right leg forward, left knee down. Walk your right foot over to the left, right? And then maybe down towards your left knee a little bit until you come onto the side of your right shin. Pull your toes back towards your shin so that foot is really engaged. And then maybe you can walk your back knee back a little bit, right? Use your block underneath your forward sits bone. And then draw your legs towards each other like you're squeezing your legs towards each other. Lift your belly. Roll your shoulders back. You can come onto your fingertips if you'd like. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. Breathe through your nostrils. Steady, even. And then come down if you'd like, or stay up. Come onto your elbows. Rest your forehead. Keep your legs engaged. To come out of the pose, you can always hold these longer. You can stop the video if you'd like. Come on up onto your hands again. Move your block away. And then come into downward facing dog. So lift your hips. Take your forward leg back. Come into downward dog. Heels lifting. Sits bones lifting. Press the earth away with your hands. Take your pubic bone back. Feel a nice deep crease in your hips and your lower back here. From the length and height of your pelvis, invite your spine to lengthen and descend downward to the crown of your head so there's space between all of your vertebrae. Just this pose, a down dog done really well with lots of space in your spine, can be very therapeutic after a long day of gardening or whatever activity you're doing after a long hike. And as you're ready, bring your knees down, widen your knees, come into child's pose. If child's pose isn't comfortable for you, you can come onto your back. So we're just going to end our practice here. You can stay in child's pose, you can come onto your back. Just really taking in this practice. Nice steady breath. So just as we care for our gardens, for our wood piles, for all these projects we do, we care for our bodies, and our bodies support us in getting the good work done. From here, I'm bringing my hands to my heart so you can stay in child's pose or in Shavasana. Namaste. Enjoy the work.